morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. What is it? January 25th. Oh my gosh, Theresa. So I'm Jean Ann Cannon with Junebrook, and we have Theresa. Theresa, pronounce your last name.
Argueta. Theresa Argueta.
It's such a beautiful name, Argueta. Theresa Argueta. And Theresa is, I've known Theresa a long time, and she is a rock star and has done fabulous things with children. You have. And Theresa now is the Director of Early Childhood Programs for Paladin. And also under that umbrella is Imagination Station and Head Start.
Correct.
And we will talk about that. So Junebrook is doing fine, thank you very much, during this crazy pandemic and getting through the holidays, and now it's January. Of course, Junebrook is child abuse prevention and intervention. Started 32 years ago. And of course, the intervention piece is our Child Advocacy Center, where we interview children with suspected cases of abuse. And we help them get support and their families get support. So we do on average about 420 interviews a year. So that's a lot. So child abuse is a real problem, but we have some real solutions here. Our prevention piece is multifaceted. We have Healthy Families program for any women who are expecting a baby up until 3 months old. We can take them in, but their child, we can see them till their child is 5, which is very, very fun. And that's an in-home visiting program, but now we do that virtually given COVID. So we're so excited that we can still do that.
And my staff talk about that program. A lot of them were moms,
Theresa.
And they love all the beautiful books and having an advocate to listen to. It's such a great program.
You know, no matter how sophisticated we think we are, when we have a baby, it's a lot. So it is a wonderful program to have a pal who brings you books. We have grants, so we bring books and literacy and help parents relax and read to their children and talk about some of the problems they're having and how can we help them and how can the community help them. So that's our Healthy Families program. We also have public education, where we go into the schools and empower kids to take care of their bodies. The program's a very positive, upbeat, your body belongs to you. We talk about body parts, so it's not a social stigma issue. And it has done very well with protecting children, to the point where when kids have had an incident, they then report and we investigate that situation. The other program is our Parent and Family Education program, where we go on site and teach parenting programs. That's a nurturing parenting curriculum, evidence-based, fabulous. So if you're listening and you're a group or an individual who would like a parenting class, just give us a call. Our Lisa Scheller, Development Director, is not here today. She's got an appointment, and she would want me to talk a little bit about development. So like Theresa in her organization in Junebrook, how do you finance what we do here? Because all of our programs are free. So we do that we do that with grants, we do that with fundraising, and some state and federal money. So Lisa's done a great job in development and keeping us going and having activities. I will say, finally, we decided dragon boats, not in 2022. We will be doing that in 2023 because of COVID. And the other thing is our Cocktails in the Garden, which was a fabulous event. Will be in September. So we're so excited about that. I think it's Thursday, September 15th. So if you want to donate to Junebrook, $5, $10, whatever you have, you can go online. Megan is great and has it right there, the information online. And we appreciate anything you might want to give. But to get to fun Theresa, we had great conversation before we even started our filming today. Theresa, really, when you work in the field long enough as a clinical social worker, I've known Theresa a long time professionally, and she is you are a rock star, and it's not easy. So maybe, I know we want to talk about Paladin and we want to talk about Head Start and Imagination Station, but maybe first tell us about you and how did you get interested in working with children?
Yeah, so I've always loved working with kids since I was a little kid too. I was the youngest sibling and I loved babies and all that stuff, just like I think everybody else's passion begins. But I was studying music at Valparaiso University. And I had a work-study job at Hilltop Neighborhood House in the Hilltop neighborhood of Valpo. And I worked there for 4 years, and it really, I caught the early childhood bug. And then I started teaching kindergarten at a local child care center in Hobart. I did that for 6 years while I pursued my master's degree. I had to go to Illinois because Indiana at that time had no master's programs in early childhood education, which is a very specific age range. It's birth through 8 years old. And I got my degree from Roosevelt University in Chicago, which definitely fueled my sense of social justice. It's a social justice university. The first African-American women graduated from college there. Like, they have some very rich, beautiful history. Nice. And then I started working for East Chicago Public Schools. That was an absolute honor to do. The children there and the families there are amazing. But I felt the call to do something a little bit with larger impact. And so I took a position at Imagination Station 6 years ago. I had known that I wanted to work there forever. I actually had heard Dr. Katz, the founder of Imagination Station, speak at an Indiana AEYC conference 10 years before I got the position. Wow. And I visited her at Imagination Station, and I got a tour, and I hadn't started my master's degree yet, and I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be in this early childhood, high quality, nonprofit, grassroots kind of place where we can do what's right for children and families. So I pursued my master's degree, and then 10 years later, I got my dream job. Yay. So it's really hard after you have your dream job to make another dream, right? So our agency at the time, the Child Care Consortium, had the opportunity to merge with Paladin, based here in Michigan City, but we serve LaPorte and Lake County as well. And in that merger, I had the opportunity to write a portion of the Head Start grant again. And so I was given carte blanche to write and design my dream program. And that's not often that someone says, we believe in your dream, here, put it on paper. And then the federal government said, yes, that's a great dream. We'll give you money for that. So we have a super unique Head Start program, and I'm really proud of that. So.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Wow. Very interesting, Theresa, path that you've taken.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. I do think people are interested to know how is it someone ends up doing a job you're doing.
It turns out you study voice.
Yeah, right, there you go.
You study music and you get a degree in that, and then you take a serpentine path back to human services.
Right.
So.
But you followed your dream, which is wonderful. Yeah. So tell us about Paladin. I think you wanted to talk about the website. And
so we merged with Paladin in 2019, and we have a new CEO. His name is Steve Hobby, and he is on a mission to make Paladin known. We have a new website. Our agency website is paladin.care, Paladin.care, kind of a strange word. It means champion for a worthy cause, which I think is most people in Michigan City are champions for worthy causes. And then Imagination Station's website is connected to that. It's the Head Start and Imagination Station site together is imagination.care. And we have a beautiful new logo that means a lot to me personally as an early childhood educator. I believe that early childhood educators, we lead with our hearts. We're very emotional and compassionate. And we should find that as a big strength. And that is the frame of the Paladin logo is a heart. And then we have a person on the side, and for me that represents the knowledge and capacity that we have. And when we take our knowledge and capacity together with our compassion and our emotional drive and passions, we can lead with our hands, which is also in our logo, and do really good work. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about, the work that's done. Right. And when we do really good work and we have positive impacts on families and children, we experience growth. And there's a beautiful leaf on the side of the logo. Great. So that's probably not how they came up with the idea. But for me, that's what it means. Yeah. We lead with our hearts and we serve. And then when we do that, everybody grows.
Yay. Very good. And tell us a little bit about, if you would, Head Start and Imagination Station. What are those programs like for those listening? How could they
if you don't know us, that's absolutely fine. Sure. So Imagination Station and Head Start run together blended. At Paladin, we call them our early childhood programs. Imagination Station is located on Cool Spring Avenue at our flagship location. That building was built in 2001. We serve children aged nothing, brand new squishy babies through 5 years old. And slots there are available through all different kinds of ways. So you can apply for vouchers on the state website, on the FSSA website, to get free childcare if you're working. You can also apply through Head Start if you're not working for a scholarship-based program that's covered through Head Start at Imagination Station. We house those kids.
Okay.
You can also apply for a United Way scholarship. We've been a United Way partner for a really long time, and we offer those scholarships to people who are ineligible for vouchers because they make too much but can't afford high quality childcare.
Right.
And then of course we take tuition, pay parents as well. So if you get a childcare benefit through work, sometimes they put it on a debit card that you can swipe. We accept that as well.
Oh, that's great.
Yep.
And then, so the difference between like Imagination and Station and Head Start, can you tell?
Sure. So the difference is that our main Head Start facility is at Neiman Elementary School in Michigan City, and then we're also opening 2 classrooms at Bethany Lutheran Church in the city of LaPorte. The construction is complete there, and then we'll have access to that beautiful park, La Park, right across the street. That'll be our playground as soon as we're able to get that site licensed. So those slots, there's 189 slots, are reserved for families who are in the highest risk categories. Those who receive Social Security, disability, are homeless, foster children have preferential slots. Have an advocate, and you can get help with access to health care. We obviously, you have the curriculum and the teacher, and then we also offer a home-based option for those who, especially now during COVID, don't want to send their children to a center-based setting. And the home-based visitor right now is functioning virtually, and in the future would visit you once a week.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Gosh,
And then we offer that same service at Imagination Station. So the difference is that Neiman and Bethany are just 100% Head Start kids that are funded through the federal government.
Okay.
And then Imagination Station is that blended model. And we serve babies through 5-year-olds old there.
Great.
So that's the difference.
Great. And if anyone wants to know more about signing up for those programs, just go online, as you said, Theresa.
Imagination.care. There's an inquiry form. You can do pre-registration to see if you're eligible for Head Start, or send an inquiry if you'd like to register for Imagination Station.
Great.
Yep.
And then one of the new things you talked about, building the outdoor program.
Yes. So we're really excited to use some of our COVID money. You know, everyone gets this funding to build a sustainable outdoor classroom. Our program is Reggio Emilia based, and that means lots of things, and it's very complex, and I don't want to get too into it, but a piece of that is nature-based learning. And so we want to have the kids outside, because that's where most of nature happens, is outside. And so at Neiman, we're going to build this huge outdoor classroom on the back 40 over there. It'll have 10 learning centers, a huge bike and walking path, state-of-the-art musical instruments outside. We'll have a water pump, like old-fashioned water pump, and bikes for the kids to ride, and native trees, and we're going to be restoring the prairie there. So we'll be doing a native planting, which is really exciting. We're working with a permaculturist, which is really cool.
Oh my gosh, Theresa.
And then we're also installing a hummingbird garden and a butterfly way station. So we're just really excited. That's going to be a place where children can come and grow along with all the trees and flowers and learn so much out in the dirt.
Right.
And then we're going to mirror as much as we can at Imagination Station, where we did just get new playgrounds everywhere last year. That was really big because we had very old playgrounds after 20 years. You know, they get kind of old. So we have brand new play equipment. And then all of those playgrounds are going to be enriched with outdoor learning opportunities. Mud kitchens so they can get nice and dirty, and water walls and all that kind of stuff.
Fun. That is so. Dunebrook also has Westville Little School, and it's they have a mini version of what you're talking about. Behind Westville Little School, and it is so inspiring. And I know Krieger Middle School is a big. They're known for their outdoor learning, and it's so inspiring to kids.
It is. And it makes such a difference in the way that they communicate with each other. They learn different languages when they're out there touching touching things and
Right.
getting dirty. And we're actually going to be partnering with Try On Farms right across the
my
street from
gosh,
Neiman.
fun.
We're really excited about that. And so we'll go on hikes and things like that across the street
Oh,
so the kids can, chase the ducks and the chickens.
my
And
gosh.
we even talked about possibly restoring their goat shed because they
Ah.
have goats over there, but we can't have them at our location.
Right.
And then we're also going to get like rain boots so that the kids can go outside and get muddy because that's what we're supposed to do when we're
Right.
babies.
And
So
what child doesn't want to go? through
all
that?
of them
Yeah, there you
want to
go.
do it. They want to chase the bugs.
Well, Theresa, that is exciting.
Yeah.
Sincerely, I mean, talk about being creative and thinking out of the box versus the old classroom or
Yeah, we don't-
daycare you'd sit.
Yeah, no, not like that at
that's
all.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
And maybe just for parents, I think you have such great experience, Theresa, to talk about just parenting in general.
Yeah.
And then maybe some COVID tips on parenting, but parenting in general and all the years that you've been in the field. Tell us some of I think you talked about maybe 3 ideas.
Yeah,
self-care.
parenting it's a different kind of journey, and you don't really know what you're getting in for until that baby comes,
Right.
or to that foster child shows up at your house. You really don't know what it's going to be. So the couple of pieces of advice that I would give, and I'm a parent too, and sometimes I'm not the perfect parent, right? None of us are.
Right.
But a couple of things that I'd like to mention is that the most important part about being a parent or a human in general is taking care of yourself. It's really important to do that. If the vessel is empty, you have nothing to give. And so you need to take care of yourself. Self-care is not selfish. It's self-care. It's important. So doing things for yourself, for me, it's taking baths and reading books and visiting with my friends. That all fills me up so that I can be a better parent. And it's important that you take time to do that so that your kids know that when they're adults, that they need to prioritize themselves as well. It's really, really important to do that. The other thing that I would say is, and a lot of us have some traumatic history, and I think it's really important that we become the parent that we needed as a child. And that doesn't mean permissive or, hands off, but providing the support and boundaries and unconditional love that your child needs. Give that to them because that's what you needed when you were a kid, whether you got it or not. Hopefully you did, but some of us did
Had
not.
gaps.
We have gaps, yeah.
Big gaps.
Yes, that happens.
Yeah.
The other piece of advice that I would give is that give yourself a break. We're all going to yell at some point. It's going to happen. And when it happens, you probably are going to feel terrible about it. But you need to recover and come back from it and forgive yourself and move on.
Yeah, that's great advice, Theresa.
Thanks.
And I think one of the things you talked about earlier was how important it is that if you're lost as a parent on one particular issue or not, get support, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Talking to family members can be okay or friends, but sometimes getting some outside help, whether it be at Imagination Station or Head Start or Doombrick's Healthy Family Program, just calling with a question. Just call us. Call the resources in our community, and there's so many, to ask, I'm struggling with XYZ, what do you think? Or who do you know that might be able to help me with this? So I think reaching out for help when you talk about self-care, it doesn't have to be an expensive trip to the Bahamas. Getting 10 minutes upstairs before the kids come home or your husband or whoever can be really helpful. So identify what your needs are, and if you are finding that you're still struggling, it's so important to ask for some kind of help. So thank you, Theresa. That's great. And lastly, we talked a little bit about parenting in the COVID times and the stress that causes us as worker bees and in a world that we have to adapt. But how about for parents, the general big picture kind of stress, whether it's obvious or subtle, the stress, and how do you, any thoughts on that or tips? Or
Well, again, self-care is always key.
Okay.
But when you have a child that's a young child, 0 to 8, and my age group is 0 to 5, the first issue that we encounter with COVID is that our little babies can't get vaccinated. And they're really good at sharing their bodily fluids. And so they can transmit germs, whether it's COVID or flu or RSV or whatever, really easily to each other. That's just a hazard of being a kid, is that we're going to share those germs. So what we need to do as adults is to be good stewards of their health and make whatever decisions we possibly can to keep the child safe. Cleaning their toys regularly and keeping their hands clean. And if they're over the age of 3, having them wear a mask is really important, especially when you're in public. But if you're able to get vaccinated and your doctor says that you should do that, that's one way you can help support our babies who cannot get vaccinated. So we do urge our families to do that, and then our staff as well. I have for my staff at Neiman, we have almost 100% of our teaching staff vaccinated. Yay. And at Imagination Station, all of our infant and toddler teachers are vaccinated. We're at about 80% vaccinated there. So we do that to help ensure the safety of our kids.
Right. Well, thank you, Theresa. That it is such a multi-dimensional issue.
It is.
But one thing, especially this being the new year,
Yep.
And the recent uptick before the holidays is it's not going away.
No.
So, and people have different opinions about different parts about the issue of COVID, but to talk about it, to try to learn about it, and get vaccinated, get boosted, and do your best for your children, which is being consistent, I guess. It's hard.
And our local healthcare system here, Franciscan, has really great resources. If you have questions, if you have any fears, they have some really great resources to help manage the spread of that particular disease. Yeah.
Thank you, Theresa. Again, that's a great idea. That if you don't know, ask for help.
Exactly.
Sometimes some of us grew up not thinking that we were supposed to do that. That we're supposed to know everything, but ask for help, get information, and sometimes your family member or friend might not have the best information. So get out and ask for help. So, Theresa, thank you so much. Really, we could talk forever. Is there anything else that we didn't talk about that you think?
Well, the one thing I would like to share about our programs that makes it super unique is that we are a Reggio Emilia inspired program. Reggio Emilia is a region in Italy. It's a movement that came out of the Second World War in response to socialism that took over the country. And so the founder of Reggio, Loris Malaguzzi, wanted to create spaces where children and families could become stewards in their own future. And so he began with this, and there's so many complex things that go into being a Reggio Emilia inspired school, but I just want to share a couple of those things.
Okay, sure.
So the first thing that it's like the seed that was planted is that we believe that children, and I know Dunebrook does too, children have rights. We believe that. And so because we believe children have rights, it's our job to facilitate environments and experiences that respect and honor their rights. So for example, if we believe that children have the right to choose, then we should not tell them, you're going to play with the blocks now, and then you get 10 minutes, and then it's Sally's turn to play with the blocks now. Instead, we foster an environment where children can make choices and navigate difficult social situations like sharing. That's really hard. But we believe that everyone has rights. And so that's the seed of everything that we do. So that image of the child is central to our experience. The child is the center of everything that we do. That's very different than what you referred to as the traditional preschool model. We do not have a traditional preschool model. That we follow the child, as opposed to the teacher being the center of the classroom and leading and doing all of the things. The children are the leaders and collaborators in their own learning. With that being stated, they're still going to learn all of the things that they would learn in a traditional preschool: numbers, colors, how to spell their name, all that kind of stuff. But they're also going to learn how to negotiate, how to self-regulate, how to problem solve. They'll learn how to plan and how to create. And it fosters and helps that sense of ingenuity grow, which is very unique to an early childhood program. So that image of the child is really central. The other piece that's really important to us and I know is important here at Dunebrook also, are relationships. Relationships are the glue that holds everything together and the grease that makes all the wheels move. So the relationship between the parent and the school, the parent and the teacher, the parent and the child and other children, those relationships are all primary relationships, and they're super important. And so when we engage in a relationship with a family, it's very collaborative. We believe that you are the expert of your child and that you have a lot of value to bring to the discussion. And we get your child at best for 5 years, and then you carry them off into the world. And so that relationship is so important to us that it's reciprocal and honest and open. So that's another piece that makes us really special.
Yeah.
And then the other thing about Reggio Emilia is what it looks like inside the classroom. Like everybody wants to know what our preschool looks like when you go in.
Right.
And it's very natural. The colors are really muted. And the reason for that is because we believe that the children are the color. They bring the life to the classroom. And so all the things they do are process-based. We do a ton of art. We have our own art studio teacher at Neiman. She's called an Theresa. All the other staff are jealous that they don't have Italian titles. She's the only one that gets an Italian title. But she helps children express what they know, express their feelings, and learn through materials, through art, through experiences. And so we're very much a social constructivist kind of viewpoint where we believe those experiences are how we learn, not what we learn.
Right.
And so it just looks very different. So for example, you might go to a preschool down the street and your child will bring home a construction paper cut out of a cow. At our school, you're going to get a photograph of your child digging in the dirt, and then with something silly that they said or something profound that they said, and how that relates to their learning and development.
Wow. So very experiential.
Very, very, very.
Yeah. That's exciting, Theresa.
It is. It's really exciting. And with that, we are all learners. And I think that's something that's really important. And you touched on it a lot. In our setting, there's 3 teachers. The environment is a teacher. Right. And we know that, right? When you go into your house and it's a hot mess and there's laundry and dishes everywhere, you're freaking out and stressed.
Right.
And so we try to lower that level as much as possible by keeping the environment as calm and peaceful as possible. The other teacher, of course, is the teacher, and then there's the child as the teacher. And then the teacher is also a learner, because we know that we are lifelong learners. And it's a phrase you hear a lot, lifelong learning, but we definitely foster a growth mindset among our staff. We do extensive professional and collaborative development that just help us to always be ready to respond to how children and families grow and change every single day. Right. And so it really keeps us fresh. And I mean, we're preventing Alzheimer's with all the stuff that these teachers are doing every day.
That's great. That's great, Theresa. And it came to mind as you were describing that. If a child grows up in a climate like that, where it's imaginative, if you would, and experiential, and empowering the child to make decisions within constraints. I mean, within certain constraints to keep yourselves organized there. I think the exciting thing about that is, I think what so many people have struggled with COVID is things are out of their control. And I would imagine a child that comes through your programs, that's okay. I can still manage myself and be creative and think out of the box on how our day as a parent is going to go, given the fact that we don't know if we're in school or not today, or can we go outside, or I'm going to the grocery store, but I don't want to bring the kids. So it's that calmness, if you would, that you mentioned, Theresa, about how we are in the world. So I think that's a beautiful gift.
And I think, and that's the difference too, that's different between teaching a child how to do something and how to learn. Yes. And so the way that I think of it, and maybe it's because of Maggie at Unity Foundation is really into sailing. And so I think about this phrase that we are a ship on the seas, and when the winds are rough, we don't complain and drown, right? Yes. We adjust our sails. Yes. And so that's what we're hoping to teach our children and our staff and our families to adjust the sails, because you can't control the chaos, right? So I
that.
always ask staff when they come in, because
Right
Jan
there.
asked me when I was hired,
Yes.
how do you function in chaos?
Yeah.
I said, because you don't go to the desert and complain that it's dry, and then
Yeah.
go to the jungle and complain that it's wet. And so when you come into just a chaotic world, we live in a very chaotic
Yeah, we do.
world, you have to be the thing that is resilient and flexible. And that's a really hard combo. And these kids, oh my gosh, are they amazing? Like, they're experiencing things that we haven't experienced in
Right.
our lifetime.
Right.
And so if we can teach them how to adjust their sails, they can experience immense joy.
Right.
And
Right.
that's one of my favorite quotes by Loris Malaguzzi, the founder of Reggio, is everything with joy.
Oh, God, that is just beautiful, Theresa. I love the things you're saying, and I love the idea about being okay with adjusting your sails. You know, some of us, or I think in our community, in our, whole world with COVID, has had difficulty adjusting their sails. Instead of, being angry and digging your heels in and say, why me?
Yeah.
Adjust your sails. This is it.
Yeah, it's really challenging,
Yeah, it
especially
is.
since our brain seeks patterns,
Yes.
right? And as adults, we're like, I need a pattern and a routine. There is nothing predictable about 2022, folks.
Yeah, wow, isn't that the truth?
Yeah, and it's not a roller coaster because that has a path. So we
Yes.
are on open water,
Right.
in boats, and
Right.
either
and to be
you're
okay with it.
and you got to be okay with it because it's beautiful. It's
Right, well, with joy, as you
yeah,
said.
everything with joy.
Right, which is hard, but
It
that's
is hard.
a habit.
It's
Yeah.
very hard.
Well, Theresa, what an absolute delight, as
Oh,
always, to
thanks.
talk to you, and you're so interesting and so positive. We're lucky to have you, really.
Oh, that's
And
that's
you're-
really kind of you to
and
say.
you're- Oh, I mean that. I mean, you're a leader with that kind of passion in our community, and that's what helps make children strong and parents brighter and living a life with joy. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you, everyone. Megan, thank you for joining and keeping us on task technologically. And again, it's been a pleasure. Of course, Tammy Button, Dr. Tammy Button is our new director, and she'll be doing Tuesday at 10.
Amazing.
Yeah, she's a
She
rock.
is amazing.
She's another rock star. She's going to be great. And as sad as it is to leave, they're in good hands with Tammy. And I'll be off doing my, going back, I'm a clinical social worker doing my private practice, so I'm not going anywhere. I'll be in the community and helping both men and women with relationship issues in my private practice. So, given what the theme of the day, Theresa, adjusting our sails and living in life with joy, we always end our program by saying, be very, very kind to yourself. And as Theresa said, that is not being selfish, that is being healthy. And to be kind to yourself and take time during this winter months, which are rough, with snow and sleet and COVID and change, and so take time to be kind to yourself. So Theresa, what a gift to have you today. Thank you,
Thank
Megan.
you.
Thank you, and everyone, have a great week, and we'll see you back here.